Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and it's been a while, but this is another Grain War development log. Now, part of the reason that it's been so long is because I had to rewrite some of my core engine, and that kind of sucked. But it had to be done because I really want this game to be multiplayer. At least at the very minimum, I want it to be local multiplayer, like same computer, plug in a couple Xbox controllers and you can play it with a friend. So that's, I've got to at least have it be like that. And the other engine was not working the way I had it set up for multiplayer. So this way works. This way will work, and it's quite a bit better. But what I want to show you that I've been working on today is in my previous example, there was knockback, right? When you hit an enemy, they would slide away from you. But it was only for enemies, and it was only in 4 directions. So the knockback wasn't in all directions. It was just right, left, up, and down, and it wasn't 360 directions. So I've changed it to where the player can now receive knockback as well if he gets hit by something. And it's also in every single direction. So I kind of want to show you how that works real quick, what it looks like. And I want to have some sort of dust when something gets hit. It like knocks up some dust while the player slides or the enemy slides. But I haven't gotten anything that looks super great yet, so I kind of took that out. But you can see right here, and I've got a lot of enemies to test this, but if I click on the screen, it knocks everyone away from the mouse. And so that's what I did, and you can get quite a few enemies, and they can even run into each other with this sliding thing, and nobody gets stuck. It just all kind of works. So that's what it looks like. I'll show you some code, a little bit of the code that I've been working on. So I've got a slide state. So I've got a life form object that's like the parent to both the player and the enemies. It's whatever both of them are going to do, right? Like both the player and the enemies are going to die. They're both going to need their sprite, their images to be controlled, their direction to be controlled. So I added in a move state or a slide state. And I've got, all it uses my basic move script, except now it moves with a sliding speed. And so this is a variable that I created, and they move in a direction that I pass in through an x-axis and a y-axis. And this is the magnitude, which is always going to be 1 in this case. But when my player's moving, this is different based on the controller input. So I'm using the same script for all of my movement in the game. It's the exact same movement script. So the slide speed gets passed into the movement, but it gets subtracted from every single step while they're in this slide state. And if the slide speed is less than 0, it switches back to argument 0's state. So whatever state I want them to switch back to when they're done with the slide. So I can pass in a state for that, and sets their y-axis and x-axis back to the default 0. So if we come into the enemy object and into the step event, you'll see there's this giant switch statement that just chooses which state it should be in. So depending on what state, it runs a certain script. If it's in the slide state, then it runs the slide script, and the argument to pass in for the end of the slide is to switch back to its wander state. So If it's not close enough to the player at the end of the slide, it will just start wandering around. If it's close to the player, it will switch to a wander state and then see the player and start following the player. And then this just inherits the events from the life form object as well. So it's really, really easy. Literally, it just uses, I'll show you the movement script. So this is kind of more complicated. The movement script is kind of a mess. You've seen this before. Not a mess. It's actually pretty well organized. It's just a large script. So this script right here is what actually moves them, but I'm just using the movement script, and I've got one separate variable for their slide speed that slows down, and if they're in a slide state, they can't do anything else, so they can't attack or they can't move. I haven't tested this, but I bet the player could block while he's in the slide state. I'm actually not sure on that. I'll have to see. I think he can. I think he can block while he's in the slide state. I've basically set the player to be able to block at any time, but it's set on a timer, so okay, so he cannot block while he's in the slide state, but he can block and then go into the slide state. So that's interesting. So that's kind of cool. I could make it so if the player blocks and then gets hit by something, it'll still knock him back. But yeah. So there you go. That shows some of the stuff that I've been working on. I'm going to be working on a lot of sprite artwork this week. So I will do a development log on the sprite artwork that I will be working on, because I'll want to show that off when I get it done. But thank you guys for watching this video. It really helps me if you decide to like it and share it on Twitter or wherever. And I will talk to you guys later.